Tell us what the initiative is, and very importantly, why now? What are you trying to accomplish?
So what we're trying to accomplish is really what journalism always was intended to be. Because remember, the motto of the New York Times is all the news that's fit to print.
Right.
But that's not really what journalism has become. Journalism has now become all the bad news that's fit to print or to post, with what is working being like the kicker at the end of the local broadcast or the back of the book story in the magazine. And we want to change that. We want to, obviously, we're going to continue covering all that's dysfunctional, corrupt, the crisis, the beheadings, but we want to put an enormous amount of resources, energy, commitment to covering relentlessly and robustly all the good things that are happening. Because we also believe that if we stay with if it bleeds, it leads, we are going to really miss out on all the things that can transform our world, which are happening somewhere. You're part of a lot of that because you're working with a lot of young people around the world who are doing amazing things, but not at scale. If we put the spotlight on what is working, I believe we can help this solution scale and create copycat solutions instead of just copycat crimes.
How do you realign the media? Is it, you've had a year at this now. How do you move the needle in the big world?
Actually, I think two ways. One, something that Sebastian mentioned, which is that increasingly, more and more of the traffic that media companies get is through social traffic. It's not through the front door. So this is the kind of content that people like to share. And so because it is the content that people like to share, more and more publishers have an advantage and incentive to actually publish more of that content. The second thing is simply imitation being the best form of flattery. For example, after the Ferguson crisis, when it was all about the violence, the demonstrations, the racism, we did a splash, which is our front page, called The Story Behind Ferguson, which was all about all the amazing things that were happening. The people helping people, the people feeding the demonstrators, the adults who were going to teach the children whose school teachers were not going to school, just endless examples like that. That went live at 9 a.m. By noon, CNN and MSNBC had stories about the same thing that they had never had before. So I really believe that the more we do of this, the more everybody sees the advantages we're getting, including, incidentally, revenue advantages. So there are traffic advantages, there are revenue advantages, and there is also the possibility of reimagining journalism to really serve the public by offering the full picture to them, both all the crises and the problems, but also the solutions and what is working.